response video to Kim on the question of why. And first obvious answer is why ask why? I mean, why is this? Why is the old question? Why is the question for, 5-year-olds? 5-year-olds ask why. And I don't mean that insulting. I just mean that, the why you should have answered by now. I mean, good enough, well enough. We know most of the why answers, and the ones we don't know, who cares? They're kind of irrelevant. We can see the basic facts. There's no God taking care of us, all right? We're here, we understand why natural selection has created us the way we are. I'm just saying, the whys are answered. The question to answer is what? What do we do? What do you do with your presence, your existence? That's the question that matters. There's a lot of things you said that were really just annoying. I mean, like choosing a philosophy. You don't choose a philosophy, you build one. Certainly there's probably people that have a philosophy that's pretty close to what makes sense to you, and so then you might choose to be philosophically consistent with that person in some ways, but I'm just saying that you're still making the choice. You still have to, you want to understand the world. You don't accept it because somebody says something. You accept it because you understand it to be that way. The idea that materialism versus idealism, and they're all right in their own right, and it's like you're making this arbitrary choice and all doesn't matter. I mean, it seems to totally discount the existence of intelligence. You don't have just your eyes and your ears. You have your friggin' intelligence. It's a sense. Your mind is a sense. It creates understanding. It creates meaning. It creates all kinds of things. It is a powerful sense. It is the most powerful sense. And so, yeah, it gives you all kinds of information. And so it's not just ways to see the world. I mean, there's a truth out there. And maybe, you're one of the people who don't believe there's a truth out there, but I believe there's a truth out there. All right? It's written on some friggin' universal stone somewhere. And you can ask it a question and it'll have the friggin' answer written on it. There's not wishy-washy, look at it different ways kind of crap. I mean, it either is or isn't. You ask it a yes or no question, there's a friggin' yes or no answer to the damn question, strictly speaking. If the question's asked in a yes or no fashion, anyway. So anyway, the whole idea of what we live for, there's two things. That's all there are. There's two things. You either live for your own desires, your own comfort, your own pleasure, or you live to have a purpose, to accomplish something beyond yourself, something we exist as something that has the cause that affects us, and we also exist as an effect that causes to the rest of that causes an effect on the world around us. And there's a definition of our productivity. I mean, obviously you haven't listened to too many of my videos, but yeah, there's this concept of productivity. There's this concept of efficiency. You have a significance in the world. You have an impact, and that impact can either be a consumer or you can be a producer, a net producer, and that's sort of important to some people. I mean, to me, it's the only thing that's important. It's a priority. Yeah, if I was younger, and had a real life, there's lots of personal drives and desires that I would probably capitalize on. We can get immersed in our own psychology, our own definition of beauty, our own desire to climb whatever mountain we create for ourselves. But as I stated in one of my last videos, we can also control a lot of those desires. I mean, we can get really interested in something, we can really desire something, and then we can intellectually look at it and we can pick it apart and we can say, well, why is this worth the passion that I am investing in it? And so we can modify some of those things because we can rip them apart. We really, people who get obsessed about having a bigger this and a faster that and all this other crap, I mean, yeah, if they use a little psychology on themselves, they can rid themselves of the frivolous desires. The root things, yeah, people need love. They need some emotional, something that builds them up. And, for some people, like I said, there's all kinds of other passions. I mean, they have, I won't get into all the stuff, but I mean, they have sex drives and the rest of these things that can pretty well preoccupy them. They're not asking why, they're asking, how do I get some? They're trying to find some way to exploit those desires. But yeah, if you're going to really look at your life, those are the two sides. I mean, there's satisfying your own personal needs, and then satisfying a mission that your sixth sense, this brain thing, comes up with, that it devises, and it says this is important, and you really got to do some work to this. You got to make some sort of contribution, and in some ways that might even give you personal satisfaction. But the bottom line is it's part of the equation. You can't walk away from that. You can't. It's not so much, saying that you can't spend your life just asking stupid questions. Right? I don't disagree. There's no point in pointlessly asking why. But I mean, you could really, the human race could afford to spend some time trying to answer that. What do I do? What is the most productive way I can use my existence on this planet? What's a constructive purpose for me? And it's not a bad question to spend some time contemplating. I don't think the average person spends much time on it. But yeah, the why question, I mean, it's a dead question in my opinion. Why do you get up? Well, look, you either got the passion to get up or you don't. I mean, either there's something you want to accomplish or there's not. And for some people, I mean, life's not it's not any fun. So it is work. And then they're gonna have a harder time answering that question. I mean, some people don't have a great life, and it's a lot harder for them to get out of bed and to face the day because, yeah, they don't have a great prospect in terms of their personal satisfaction, and then they might not have much of a prospect of accomplishing anything with their life either, because they don't have the talents or the skills or the significance or the position in life to even maximize their potential, their capacity. It's wasted. I might even fall into that category. I mean, you could spend your life acquiring something of value. You have lots of skills. You can create beauty. You can give people satisfaction through those mediums of your creativity. And other people, like I said, they can spend time designing or figuring out something, and it doesn't matter. This could be a great solution, but if they don't have any capacity to make something happen, to make change happen, or to use that ability, it's just wasted. Think how many people, what if they would have had an education, they would have gone to school, and they would have got this, and would have done this, they could have invented a cure for cancer, they could have done something brilliant. But I mean, there's really nothing worse than to waste our potential. I mean, it's so yeah, we got to give it some. It deserves more than lip service. We got to spend some time understanding our place in the world. And like I said, I'm definitely of the opinion that it does matter. We can't just. It's not an arbitrary decision about what philosophy you choose. You don't pick one because this one has kittens in it and that one has something else in it, and so that you try to pick one, and it's garbage. And I don't necessarily buy the argument that we're all so besieged by our own personal prejudice or personal perspective bias that we can't possibly see the universe in any objective sense. I mean, we can never be perfectly unbiased, I suppose, but we can certainly understand the concept. We can certainly understand that we come with some preconceived notions that are built in, are ingrained into our psychology. We have a definition of, it's like subject aesthetics. I mean, everybody has a personal definition of stylish or beautiful or pretty or comforting or nice. I mean, you see it in people's taste in music and color and clothes and even the way they look. Everybody has a subjective sense about those things. But in terms of your interaction with the world, in terms of how you perceive reality, I think you can understand that, yes, you have some subjective taste, you have some subjective preferences and prejudices, but then those subjective, they don't have to corrupt your intellect. You can certainly, it's like you can be uncomfortable with black people, let's say, just on a personal level, or fat people, or pick a human attribute that could be offensive to somebody, or disquieting, or uncomfortable. But there's no reason that in your interactions with these people you cannot let your best self control your behavior and say, yes, I'm not going to act based on what I feel. I mean, what I feel is irrelevant. It's what I think that matters. And what I understand is even more important.